here or put it in the chat function. I don't know. I'm not sure personally that my ADD can let me go to all these different things that it's headed in, because I've got a phone in one hand, I've got my laptop up. I'm looking at too many. Sometimes I multitask well and sometimes I don't, but we'll see how that works right now.
There's a big delay too. I was trying to cover that too, and I don't think I
Yeah.
can.
Yeah, I mean, well, there's just a lot going on. I do have a question that came up now for those of you that are here. It's a public comment from Ashley Williamson, and she just asked a question regarding the budget. She just said, I know Forrest had brought up that we would like more money for marketing for tourism. Where is the current money coming from, the rafting fee, et cetera, going? In the amount of time that we have here, I will just say I will kind of address that a little bit. I mean, Mayor, I know that Lucas is on here, so we can have this going on. I don't know all the specifics associated with that. I do know that, and it's a little bit of a, and I'll even piggyback on Lucas to make a mention of this. The way that the budget is sort of set out, that, and correct me if I'm wrong, we give money to the partnership in a lump sum. And that amount of money is close to the tune of $300,000. Is that correct? I mean, is that looking correct? Give or take a few. I mean, is it 289, 279, something like that? It's around $300,000. Once we give the money to you all, Lucas, then you all, that's one of the things that you do. It's not necessarily that it has to go to advertising. That's just the way that it's set up. Am I correct in saying that?
It's we get roughly about 265,000 a year, and that is basically the requirement for economic development purposes based on our county population, and then we kind of deviate that up within the partnership based on what we can do within the budget the best we can. The biggest line item other than operating expenses, professional fees, et cetera, is marketing. But that's typically always the biggest line we got, other than all the other expenses, and that's what we have to use. If there's a big item to take out of that was it. And that's kind of why it's sitting at 25,000 where it's at now. And we do the best we can with matching grants we get from the state, et cetera, but that's about as much as we can get. There's not a dedicated funding source for marketing right now. That answers your question.
And to also just sort of go looking at that comment, I may have misread. I don't know, Mayor, if you're looking at that, because it also says, where is the current money coming from? The rafting fees, et cetera, going. That's money that we give to the partnership. The rafting fees money is not Lucas. That's, I mean, I would either the mayor or Heather. That goes into the general fund. It is not specifically designated for any particular purpose. Am I not correct on saying that?
Yes, and of course not all of those fees, but I will say that we do have the river safety officers. The pay, it's not designated specifically for that, but that is something specifically river related. As far as any improvements up there, they've put pavilions, they had to redo the roof, they put changing rooms, matches for the other ramps. I mean, for grant matches, as Lucas has mentioned. I mean, you could go as far as to look at road repairs sometimes. So there's various things. We lease that property to have additional parking. We redid, we had to redo Beth Freeman Park, do additional stone there, do a lot of work because of the floods. So various things like that. And then the rest, I mean, it just goes in the general.
All right, and then again, Ashley, and I know you're the only one that is kind of going on here. I know what you're saying. It can be sort of confusing looking at the budget, because you said those current funds are going to the economic development. Is that including the industrial park? That's a separate situation, and I'm correct in saying that. And I just, because I see I have the mayor, I have Lucas, and I have Heather. You can all help me with that. I mean, that is separate. Now, with your next question, it said, or comment, I'm trying to make sense of our budget. It's complicated. I mean, and that's just the only way. Heather's kind of smiling, the mayor's kind of smiling. I mean, as is any budget, you know, what's going on. It is a little complicated as far as how that is set up. Um, Short version in with, I now see that it's 5:55. I mean, even in 5 minutes, I'm not sure that I could fully explain the direction that sort of heads into. But that's in essence, we allocated 2 years ago, or not last budget year, but year before that. No, I guess it was last budget year that we allocated the money for the industrial park. That's correct. It started about 2 years ago, and we just got to a point that we are moving within that in that capacity. Is that correct? Those of
Hey,
you that-
Clay,
Yes.
did we not allocate like a penny last budget cycle or something like that
We
for Lucas
actually-
and them? Or
For
2
the
pennies?
You're right, Gayla. I'd forgot. Actually, and Lucas, maybe that's what you were gonna
Not for the
say.
industrial part, but for Lucas. I thought we gave them 2 pennies out of the budget. What was it, last year, year before last? So what's going on with that?
All right, Heather, I mean, I know how to kind of explain that, but I don't want to misspeak on the numbers, and I was not, and Gayla, I hadn't even thought about that. That is money that's in there. I think we were putting that we knew we were wanting to do some more things with industrial development, and we kind of held those off for, let's say, special projects. It's almost like our capital projects fund that we have, that we put, 5 pennies in, so that when economic development comes to us with, an idea or something to move forward, that we have some money in place to be able to help them, instead of having to just deplete what little bit of a fund balance that we have in the general fund. Is that?
Yeah,
again, those of you-
the pennies were all for the industrial development, or the EDC fund, within the county EDC fund, which indirectly funds the industrial development board or the new industrial park. And as Clay just said, as monies are available, then that was for new projects, but it wasn't to the partnership, or to be used for marketing purposes necessarily.
But thank you, Gayla, for bringing that up, because I had forgot. I mean, and I know I'm doing everything without paper copies in front of me, and that's sometimes kind of hard to remember all that stuff. And I don't have my budget specifically right here in front of me to know on that. So I was doing a lot of that off the top of my head, which is another reason why it's good to have Lucas and the mayor, as well as Heather, and then even our commissioners, to kind of help us make sense of that. Ashley, I don't know if that fully answers your question. What I would also tell you is, feel free anytime. I mean, I think any of us that are here, if you feel free to reach out to our offices, reach out to us individually. And as much as whenever we get that chance, we are more than willing to, give a further explanation. I'm not saying that I wouldn't do it in this sort of public setting. I just know there's a lot of things, and then maybe that could be more direct in answering your questions and kind of getting that understanding. It's a complicated process. It's kind of easy, I think, to follow once you get used to it. Do it a couple of times, 3 or 4 times, maybe. But whenever the first time that you look at it, and even just to look at, and I could give you an example. I mean, a budget, which is public record, but to be able to make sense of it doesn't always necessarily understand. It may, and that's no slight against anybody. That's just, I mean, even if you know it left and right. Heather's a certified public accountant and had worked on this for years before she came to us, and it's a learning curve. I think everybody who's involved in government would tell you, understanding our budget, the way that they work. And we have a lot of our line items that are more specifically, they're earmarked, so you can't just use them for any particular purpose. And that sort of makes it a little bit more complicated as well.
Hey, Clay,
Yes.
I've got Terry and David Veridal here. I was going to use 2 separate computers. I'm logged in on this one, but I'm having a hard time logging in on the other one.
Okay.
Heather, you could send me another link. This one's fine. The other one is saying the meeting hasn't started yet, and obviously it has.
Huh. Are you using the same email?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know.
That may be-
But as long as we know that you're all 3 there, I will say there may be a little bit, we've done these before. I've never done it, and I shouldn't say it this way. I've never done it where I'm not with Lydia and the people at the courthouse. So there may be a little bit of a delay. on that, but I thank you for making us aware of that. And then Lydia, I know you probably heard that. So Terry is there too. If you can't get it on that other one, as long as you three right there, when we do those voice votes and understand what's going on, can everybody hear there?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right, John is here to do a verbal report for the animal shelter, just to let you know.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I'll get to that when we get there. I have right now that it is 6 o'clock, and so that will end our
Hey Clay, can you hear me?
yes.
Okay, I'm just making sure I'm having trouble seeing.
All right. Now I will say that I have that it is 6 o'clock, and so we will go on ahead and start with our official the way that we will start the meeting. CJ, if you will do that, I guess in the nature that you normally would.
Okay. All right. Cocke County Legislative Body is now in session. Clay Blazer presiding, Mayor Ottinger present.
All right, thank you, CJ, and we thank everyone for being here on this particular Zoom meeting. I will do my best to kind of work back and forth through the situation. It's a little bit different. I think if you came in late, and not that it really matters, but I was just going to let you guys know that I found out today I've been quarantined, so I'm at home and I'm not at the courthouse like I normally would be. So I apologize. I hope that there won't be much of a delay that will cause an issue for us. But so it's going to be a little bit of a learning curve for me. I have that we have the Cocke County Legislative Body will meet in regular session on Tuesday, January 19th, 2021 at 6 p.m. via Zoom. The following items of business will be considered. However, I would ask that, Calvin, if you can hear me right now, would you say a prayer for us, please, as we begin, as
Yes.
we typically do?
Dear Lord, thank you once again for the health, strength you have given us, Lord. Just watch over us tonight, Lord, and bless each one here. And Lord, let us handle county business in your will. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. All right. I don't really know how we'll pledge to the flag. I don't even have one in here. So I guess we'll just take a moment. Let's just recite the pledge together, please, just so that we are all, again, to keep in the tradition of what we normally do for our meetings. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, very good, very good. Now, going back to our regular agenda, the first thing we will do is we will have a roll call vote.
Barry Ford.
Anybody kneel? Raise your hand.
Lydia, I know that may not be what you want to do, but can you get to where maybe you're in a screen so that we can see you? I know that's not, right now I don't see you. So I don't know, or whoever is there can kind of move that. There we go. That makes it a little easier. I know y'all are excited about that.
Davidson.
Barry Ford. Calvin Ball. I know I saw Calvin on there. Caleb Blazer.
Calvin's here. He seems to be on mute. Calvin, let me
I
see.
knew I saw him up there. That's why I was wondering. Okay. Caleb
He is.
Blazer.
Yeah, I'm here.
Clay Blazer.
Here.
Norman Smith.
Norman's not on. He was at a doctor's appointment. He was going to try to join us as soon as he could.
Okay. Terry Dawson. Jonathan Laws.
Here.
Dan Bright. Saw him already, but he's moving to. Casey Gillum.
Here.
Horace Clevenger.
Here.
David Verdal.
Here.
Thank you. Kyle Chute. Gary Carver.
Here.
Oh, Gary's here.
Yes.
10, 11, 10 present, 3 absent.
Okay, all right, and very good. And just as a point of order too, and I think most of y'all have done that now. I will try to keep mine on, keep myself open, as will the one where Lydia's at, just so that we can communicate. Otherwise, if we're doing a roll call vote, then unmute yourselves, or if we have a point, where we need to discuss with that, try to keep yourself on mute as much as you can, please. That is just helpful. All right, in the second order of business, we are talking about the approval of last month's minutes. Do I have a motion to accept those?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second the motion.
Kayla makes the motion and Forrest seconds the motion. All right, is there any discussion? All right, seeing none, then we will have a roll call vote to approve those.
Barry Ford. Calvin Ball. See if Calvin can get unmuted. Blazer.
Yes.
Clay Blazer.
Yes.
Norman Smith. Terry Dawson.
Yes.
Jonathan Laws.
Yes.
Dan Bright. Dan's on there too. He must be weird. Okay. Casey Gillum.
Yes.
Forrest Clevenger.
Said it was 3.
David Verdow.
Yes.
Kyle Shutte. Gary Carver.
Yes.
Oh, goodness. 9 ayes, 4 absent.
All right, and the next thing, actually, if you will go to your amended agenda, I'm going to do that because the first item of business on that is a matter of approving the replacement of Shelley McClure's 4th District Seat 2. I will go on ahead and say typically at this point in time, and I know Jonathan is here, people have submitted, an interest of that to Jonathan. Historically, what we have done is that the commissioner, where there is a vacancy, has suggested who they would like to fill that particular position. And that is the direction that we have gone with. So Jonathan, do you have a nomination for someone to fill Shelley's seat?
Yeah, my nomination will be Jeff Esslinger.
All right, so Jonathan has nominated Jeff Esslinger. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All right, Forrest seconded that. Is there any discussion? And I think there was a letter enclosed with in your packets this month about that from Shelley and maybe Jonathan as well.
Yes.
Any discussion?
For the question, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Call for the question.
Oh, call for the question. I'm sorry. All right, yes. All right, then we'll have a roll call vote to accept Jeff Esslinger as the replacement for Shelley.
Barry Ford. Calvin Ball.
Yes.
Gayla Blazer.
Yes.
Clay Blazer.
Yes.
Norman Smith. Terry Dawson. Terry Dawson.
Sorry.
Yes.
Jonathan Laws.
Yes.
Dan Bright.
Yes.
Casey Gillum.
Yes.
Forrest Clevenger.
Yes.
David Verdow.
Yes.
Kyle Shutte. Gary Carver.
Yes.
10 ayes, 3 absent. Motion carries.
All right, so that motion carries. Now, one of the things that I would say to you is Jeff we had plans that he was going to be at the courthouse and he was going to take his oath of office and be able to participate now and be sworn in officially. He is also under quarantine, so he will do that with Chalet. Yeah, I mean tomorrow, and will participate in our next meeting. Because unfortunately we can't. That's it. He has to be sworn in before he can officially participate. So that is going on. But we do have a replacement for that. So thank you guys very much. Let me go back to our regular agenda. I mean, if that's all right, and then we will go to number 3, elections and appointments and reports. The following notaries need a renewal, and that's for Macy Reed, Pam Henson, and J. Cardi McSween. Do I have a motion to accept these?
I'll make a motion.
All right,
Second.
I had a motion from Mr. Ball and seconded from Mr. Veradal, I do believe.
Yes.
All right. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll have a roll call vote.
Terry Ford, Calvin Ball,
Yes.
Kayla Blazer,
Yes.
Clay Blazer,
Yes.
Norman Smith, Terry Dawson,
Yes. Yes.
Jonathan Laws,
Yes.
Dan Bright,
Yes.
Casey Gillum,
Yes.
Forrest Clevenger. Forrest Clevenger,
Yeah, he said yes.
Out. Thank you.
Yes.
Al Shuday, Gary Carver.
Yes.
10 ayes, 3 absent.
All right. In the matter of accepting the following quarterly reports, Juvenile Court, General Sessions Court, and County Clerk. Do I have a motion to accept these?
Make a motion.
A motion for Mr. Ball. Do I have a second? Seconded for Mr. Bright. All right. Is there any discussion on those? Seeing none, we'll have a roll call vote.
Terry Ford, Calvin Ball,
Yes.
Kayla Blazer,
Yes.
Blazer,
Yes.
Clay,
Yes, I'm sorry. I thought I said that.
Norman Smith, Terry Dawson,
Yes.
Jonathan Laws. Jonathan Laws,
Jonathan Laws had to leave early. He had some family. He posted that in the chat.
Dan Bright,
Yes.
Casey Gillum,
Yes. We don't have none. Got to have 2/3, don't you? What do you think? Bring it apart.
Forrest Clevenger,
Yes.
David Verdo,
Yes.
Al Shuday, Gary Carver.
Oh, yes.
9.
All right. In the matter of any committee reports, the first one is budget.
Okay, before I begin, one question. Should I do my original budget report and then come back to my new one afterwards, or just do it all right now?
I would
Clay?
think we could do it all right now correctly. Correct, Melissa? Well, I mean, because it's on the amended agenda. Is that?
Yeah, yeah, you can do it all at once.
Okay, as long as it's on the agenda. Okay, very good.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, here I go. Mr. Chairman, the Budget Committee recommends the approval of the attached subrecipient grant policy.
We're going to ask for that tonight.
All right, so we have a motion to accept that. Do I have a second?
I don't understand what this doing tonight.
I can barely hear.
We got to prove that tonight. Let's see here.
We have a motion to
Forrest,
accept that.
mute yourself. Forrest, mute your, thank you. That's it.
Gary, I was muted. Thank you very much. I was fortunate to say in the 7th district, leaving this in the law. Thank you, sir.
Okay, who made the motion? Sorry.
All right, let's go back. Somebody make a motion again, please. Do I have a motion to accept that?
I'll make a motion.
All right, Calvin makes the motion. Very good. Do I have a second?
I say.
seconded by Mr. Bright.
Hey, Clay, I don't know what we're voting on because it was so noisy. I couldn't hear what we were doing.
Okay.
So,
Oh,
please.
go ahead, Okay.
I'm
Gayla
sorry,
will-
Gayla. I'll read this again. The Budget Committee recommends the approval of the attached subrecipient grant policy.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right. Does that make it? So we have a motion and a second. Is there any question about that? All right. If not, then we will have a roll call vote.
Oh, I have one question.
Okay.
There was a sub policy that went through a committee.
Yes.
The committee recommends we take it. Or the committee recommends we do it.
Yes, the budget. The budget committee does.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right. If not, we'll have a roll call vote.
Terry Ford, Calvin Ball,
Yes.
Gayla Blazer,
Yes.
Clay Blazer,
Yes.
Norman Smith, Terry Dawson,
Yes.
Jonathan. Oh, he's gone. Dan Bright,
Yes. Yes.
Casey Gillum,
Yes.
Horace Clevenger,
Yes.
David Verda,
Yes.
Al Shay, Gary Carver.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. Heather.
4 absent.
Sorry. Yeah, so that motion carries. Go ahead, Heather.
Okay, the following item came up after the Budget Committee meeting, but should be acted upon before the next meeting to expedite county processes. The attached non-appropriation amendment was sent by Sharp. This is just an attachment to a already previously approved agreement by the CLB.
That's it. Up here.
All right, so do we have a motion to accept that?
Make the
I'll make a
motion.
motion.
All right, I have one from Mr. Veradal and I'm gonna second from Ms. Blazer because I just saw that.
Okay, that's fine.
And I'm not sure why I'm pointing to my computer because I'm not pointing to anybody, but do I have a motion and a second? Do I have any comments about that or questions? All right, seeing none, we'll have a roll call vote, please.
Barry Ford, Calvin Ball,
Yes.
Gayla Blazer,
Yes.
Clay Blazer,
Yes.
Norman Smith, Terry Dawson, Jonathan Laws, Dan Bright,
Yes.
Casey Gillum,
Yes.
Horace Clevenger,
Yes.
David Verda,
Yes.
Kyle Shutte, Gary Carver.
Yes.
9 ayes, 4 absent.
Okay, I only have one more thing. The following item also came up after the Budget Committee meeting. This is another amendment to Sharp. After you all agreed to do the copiers in December, we went ahead and installed them. Afterwards, we realized we did need one more copier. So that Sharp agreement that was attached to your amended agenda is just adding one more copier to the already previously approved agreement.
Do I have a motion to accept that?
I'll make a motion.
All right, Ms. Blazer made the motion, and Mr. Clevenger seconded it. All right, is there any discussion? All right, seeing none, then we will have a roll call vote, please.
Barry Ford, Calvin Ball,
Yes.
Gayla Blazer,
Yes.
Blazer, Clay
Yes.
Blazer. Okay, thanks.
Yes.
Norman Smith, Terry Dawson,
Yes.
Jonathan Laws, Dan Bright,
Yes.
Casey Gillum,
Yes.
Horace Clevenger,
Yes.
David Verda,
Yes.
Kyle Shutte, Gary Carver.
Yes.
9 ayes, 4 absent.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman. There were no budget amendments for the county or the schools.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. Moving on where we're on committee reports, we have landfill. No landfill meeting. All right, thank you very much. Moving on to the next one, we have general. Did the general meet?
General committee did not meet this month. Chair, we did have a meeting this month.
I think it's on.
Okay, so there's no meeting, there's no report.
Okay.
Okay, all right, thank you. Number 4, public safety.
We did have a public safety meeting. Norman Smith was chairman over that meeting. We have the Kyle Schute is technically still the vice chair, so neither one of those people are there. Casey Gilman and I both were at that meeting. We talked to the first call about the response time from the death that happened in Cosby and the delay. One of the things that one of our takeaways from that was that we urged first call to be a little more truthful in the response times. If it's going to be a considerable amount of time and they know it, they need to report that to the victim, or they may find another method of transportation if possible. The one thing that we did discuss also is the problems still occurring with lift assists. We have a lot of residents who are abusing this system. They're actually dialing 911 and having an ambulance or the fire department come and help them take someone from the house to the car or move them from one room to another. These are non-emergency calls that they're making, and it's tying up our system. We had talked about possibly that is a criminal offense. If you have misused 911, we talked about options that we had to try to stop that without actually putting people in jail. Possibly having a patrol unit respond with them, explain to them what they're doing and what the ramifications could be if they continue, maybe even a warning. This is something that we need to really discuss in length and bring it in front of the body, because they first call will tell you they responded to one residence 3 or 4 times in a week just to help someone to the car, and that's not going to work. We need to come up with a solution for that. So I'm not sure where you want to be with that.
Mr. Chairman, would a separate phone number for those help at all? Did y'all discuss that? Mr. Clevenger?
Do what?
A separate phone number for them to call in on instead of using 911?
That may be an option. Maybe not.
I mean, at least you know it's not an emergency at that point.
One of the things we talked about and we discussed before is possibly getting volunteer departments and the fire department trained for, what is it? Not EMT training, but emergency responder training. We talked about that, and I think it's something we need to move forward with. Bob here would like to, he has do you want to talk to him about this? I don't know if you can see him here. This is Bob Serrano. He's a volunteer captain. He's still I'm on the board at the Cosby.
So the issue would be quickly is to have your personnel that would respond certified at least at some level or trained at some level for their own protection, and so they're not going to be liability for showing up and not knowing what to do when they get to someone in need. And then they need the PPE, the proper personal protective equipment and otherwise. And then you'd have to, according to the county rules, you'd have to get Dr. Diaz to sign off that they can go to those kind of calls in the event that an emergency happens during the lift assist request. So it'd be up to each individual volunteer of the 6 volunteers, their boards to approve it. their members to be trained, them to be outfitted, and then for the Dr. Diaz to approve it. And then you could use that resource to help in those kind of events that are not necessarily a medical call for help.
All right, Mr. Gillum, I think did you have a comment you wanted to make?
Yes, Clay. It really doesn't matter if you have a separate line or not. I think it's an abuse of the whole system in some of these cases. And you got to understand now that something that's introduced by the first call is that they're having to do these extra precautions now that's taking more time for the corona, where they're having to clean down the ambulances and the equipment and personal PPE, and it's causing a larger problem. I don't think an extra phone line is going to help. And this is my personal, I don't know. I mean, but I would see that. I think it's an abuse of the EMS to have somebody call just to have assistance to their car to go, to the grocery store. I'm sorry that there are people out there, but these people are being called away to put somebody in a car to send them to a grocery store when people are dying waiting on medical help. So, I mean, we got to get away from some of these calls completely, no matter how we do it. We have to deter people from calling in on this, because it's taken away from time from people who are needing life assistance at that moment, and they're over helping somebody into a car just to help them go to a grocery store. I don't know that another phone line is going to fix that problem. And plus, like I said, first call come into the meeting, they was talking, they've had to add extra times to everything over this corona just to sanitize their equipment. And so they're being put behind the 8 ball on that already. And I mean, we just got to do something about all these, what I call bogus calls. So that's my opinion on that.
Well, and I think, as he said, and I'll go ahead and say this before, to just sort of echo what Casey's saying, and with Forrest, this is a real issue. One of the coronavirus, as she said, we're just in such unprecedented times in terms of like medical care. These are things that, again, 6 months ago, we wouldn't have thought they would be this way. And here we are in this particular direction. I know where we are at right now. I know we've still had some problems. One thing that I sort of personally think, and I'll just say this right now, having these virtual meetings, I think it's going to be very hard to eke out like a good solution for this. Like, and I don't know how anybody else feels, but like, that's almost one of those things where we need to be sitting around the table with first call and able to, like, kind of bounce things back and forth between the delays that we're having. It's not that I want to kick this can on down the road, but I think it's going to be very hard to work it out. I mean, even if we do have everybody in attendance of a full, like general committee meeting, like, I don't know that we can work out all the particular problems. I mean, I think that there are some things that we could have. I would like to maybe see if whenever we can resume back in-person meetings, if we could have, obviously, this falls under the Public Safety Committee. I mean, invite all members of the County Commission, as well as I know we had the gentleman from Cosby, but I mean, let's invite all of our volunteer fire departments to have representatives to help and see like how we can come together and work that out. But I feel like that's still going to have to happen in a face-to-face situation. I don't know if anybody else agrees with me. I just feel like I don't want to kick the can down the road, but sitting where we're at right now, I feel like it's very difficult to do that in this type of a setting. Does anybody agree or disagree? Tell me. I see Mr. Veradal's got his hands up, but you're on mute still.
I think we do need another public safety meeting for this, between now and then. Even if it's virtual, there are some other issues that I think we're going to need to address. There was an incident last week involving the county fire department responding to an emergency call, and they were toned out. We need to do a little digging on this. And from what I understand, there was a lady who dialed 911, requested a lift assist help to get her to the hospital. They were at code 0, level 0. They had no ambulances. They toned out Cosby volunteer. They were not able to respond. And if I'm not mistaken, I think 911 dispatch actually toned out Cocke County Fire, and they refused to go. And this lady died. And this could have been avoided. It could have been an avoidable death, maybe not. We need to look into this. Okay. The excuse that was given, I mean, I think they've talked to the mayor. I'm not sure about this. The chief of the fire chief, they couldn't respond to any of these without the fire chief's permission. I think if 911 dispatch has toned them out for anything, they have to respond. I don't think they have a choice.
Amen.
All right. Okay. The mayor, and then I'll get to Casey.
I will send you all some more information on that. County Fire didn't refuse. They did have some questions. Cosby actually answered. Cosby asked them, and I'm not going to get on it here because of HIPAA. I'm not going to discuss this on here. I don't care to send you all some information privately. But there was some questions. Cosby responded. There was some confusion about who was actually going to take the call, and who was going. So I'll send you all that information. I think it came down to multiple agencies saying they will respond, no one actually responding. And
Mayor, I've got one of the board members from the volunteer department here. No, they did not respond unless, no, I mean, he's sitting right here. He would know if anyone did not respond.
I'm not sure. I don't know who 903 or 902 is, but they radioed and acknowledged the call. Then they called County Fire. So again, I'll send you what I have, but and we can with the HIPAA. I don't want to get too far into it.
All right, Casey, what was your comment? I know you've had your hand up. Sorry, I apologize.
You're right, Clay. So back to what you was originally saying, I think there's definitely some hard feelings, distrust, whatever you want to call it, amongst the community and first call and all the first responders on some of these arriving to the scenes. I think it needs, just like you said, I agree. I think this needs to be worked out, face to face in a group where we can sit around, we can discuss, and we can line this up, because there's a lot more questions I have, and what, and like I found out, about these new COVID protocols and stuff too. But, we got to get away from excuse after excuse after excuse and get to what are we doing to remedy this stuff. We're never getting a remedy. We're just getting, excuses for everything that we're doing. And right now it's hard to discuss what we're all trying to, I can't understand half of what half of you are saying anyway. So, it's just, some of these topics are going to be really hard, and I'm going to push to have some of them put off until we can meet in person if I can. And that's just where I'm at on it, because this is a very important issue. It's happening every month or so. We're having disgruntled people calling, very agitated with the first call and the responders. And I think it's something that, as a group, committee, and as a full CLB body, that we need to, we got to address this, because there's a lot of upset people.
I will agree, and I will say with what Forrest and David, I see your hand, so I'll get to you in just a second. As we are looking, there are a couple of things I think that we need to have, like as Forrest said, I think we need to schedule, if we can, Mayor, if we can get a public safety meeting, another one of those scheduled as quickly as we can. In the meantime, one thing that I would ask would be, and this is of you, Mayor, if you would reach out to each of these agencies, not only First Call, our local fire department, the county fire department, even for that matter, if they don't fall under our jurisdiction, but just the city, so that we can, till we get back to a situation where we are normal, whatever that looks like and whatever that's going to look like in the future, that we're going to have to make some concessions on some things. Now's not the time, I think, as Casey was saying, now's not the time for us to be kind of arguing over about what is our job. We've got to take care of our citizens. We've got to take care of those people. And if we could, and that's, other than you just sort of reaching out to make sure that they're in agreement with that there may be some extenuating circumstances that seem to be popping up more regularly than they have before. And I think a lot of that is related to the fact that we're just, like First Call told us, they're so busy with the various protocols. I'm not saying that that's the total excuse, but till we can get this worked out, if that's something you would do, I would appreciate that. And I think that's something that we could see as being beneficial. Go ahead, David. I'm sorry.
Two quick things. First of all, Casey, I didn't I didn't mean to sound flippant a while ago when I was talking about the separate number. I just thought maybe that would separate it out from the emergency numbers. That's what was only my first thought. So I didn't mean to sound flippant on that, Casey. The other thing is, have we ever reached out to the other counties and communities to see how they're working their assist lists? Have we talked to anybody?
Oh,
I'm gonna take as no, and I'm gonna reach out to a couple of counties if you don't care. If nobody cares, I'll reach out and just see what they say.
if you would, that would be great, and sort of see what you can find out.
Okay.
The only thing I would add to that is this next public safety meeting that we asked the chiefs to be able to send in a link to get on. And let's just do a little digging on this. That way we'll have our facts straight. Hopefully soon we'll have our in-person meetings. That's the only thing I'd like to do for the online. You understand? I just want to do a little fact finding that we have all of our ducks in a row, and then we can move forward.
So you're saying you don't want a meeting next week? You want a couple of weeks to give us a chance to do that? Is that what?
Well, no, next week is fine. I just want to do it to do a Zoom meeting, just to do it for a fact finding, blah, blah, blah.
Oh.
Get everything together. Then we can have the large in-person meeting like you're asking in person. And that way we will have all of our ducks in a row and it'll all be fresh on everybody's memory. The quicker we do it, the fresher it'll be.
And one thing that I will say for those of you that participated in that public safety Zoom call, I mean, Lindsay had a lot of information, and some of this is even new information that she didn't have then that I wasn't aware of. I mean, I don't think you all were aware of it either, Forrest. I mean, you know, we heard some things that I hadn't taken into consideration yet. I think Casey had too. So, I mean, I think if we can participate in that, it may be a good idea just to get, like you said, to do that Zoom call in the near future, like to just get some of this information out before
and we can get that out of the public also. So when Casey or Lindsay talked about that they could have a 45-minute to a 2 or 3 hour wait at the ER just to drop off a patient.
Yeah.
You know, they can't just unload a patient like they used to. She even spoke of, they've had 4-hour waits having to drive a patient all the way to Charlotte because that's only ICU bed they could find. I mean, it's crazy. It is crazy right now. Thank you, Clay.
Oh, you're welcome.
I will say that I actually reached out to Jefferson County Fire Chief, and how they do their lift assist is that they do not respond unless they're available, and they never respond to nursing homes, assisted living, or hospitals unless specifically asked by EMS. But they don't charge any fees, and only when they're available.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. All right. Anything else with public safety? All right. If not, then we'll go on to purchasing. Okay, go ahead.
I'm going to add something to what the mayor said. She said she talked to Jefferson County Fire Chief. Jefferson County does not have a county fire department. They have a volunteer system. The system is totally different than theirs. She may have spoke to Jefferson City. Jefferson County has no county.
You're right. I misspoke. It is Jefferson City. I talked to Jefferson City's fire chief. I reached out when I was doing the lift assist fees just to see what other places were doing.
Okay.
And unless it's a joint one, there not many places actually charge the fees. But while we're talking about the fees, I just want you guys to know that I know that there's a little bit of confusion about who can charge those. And that is both the volunteer and the county-wide fire departments that can charge the fees.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. So that is it. Yes. Go ahead, Gayla.
Maybe, Mayor, you may know this or not, but I heard in this discussion that the county fire, I guess, refused to go for a lift assist. Is that correct or not? And if so, why would they refuse if everybody else was out or whatever? I mean, is there some policy that says that they can refuse? Or I was just wondering, just from all the discussion I heard, I just wondered if there was a policy, if somebody arbitrarily said, no, you're not doing lift assist.
From talking to the chief and listening to the entire radio traffic and the phone calls regarding that particular incident, Cocke County Fire did not refuse. There was some confusion because and when I listened to the call, Cosby did respond, at least 902 responded that they copied the radio traffic. And then there was a phone call from Cosby to County Fire. Evidently, according to, from the information I'm getting, and I'm not going far into this because of HIPAA, there were some conversations back and forth about responding. There was a request, according from the information I've got, and I've still got a little bit of checking to do, that Cosby requested that first call send somebody else. When Cocke County Fire was dispatched, dispatch asked them to call, so they did. They were talking to Cosby Fire and their chief on how to proceed based on this particular call. They asked them to wait while they figured out who was going or what exactly was going on. The dispatcher said, okay, just call me back. So when dispatch hung up, they called first call and said that they're working something out. And first call said, I will just go ahead and send another ambulance. Cocke County Fire called back and said, and I guess they probably heard the radio traffic saying another ambulance is going, and said, do you still need us as well? And they said no. But at no point in anything that I heard did they say we are not going. But they did ask them to wait while they were doing whatever they were doing in the background.
Okay, that's all I was wanting to know. Thank you so much for clarifying that for me. Another thing that I'm just going to throw out there, and it doesn't really sound like a good idea at all right now, but it's just something I'm going to play the devil's advocate, I guess. We as a county need to look at, and everybody's going to say no or whatever, but all these issues that we've got with COVID going on right now, and there's a lot of them. We may need to look at putting sort of like a moratorium on lift assist for a while until we get out of this bad situation that we're in. Because, and I'm just saying, I'm just putting it out there. Y'all need to think about it. You know, we can't be out there with a lift assist and somebody with COVID dying on us. So I'm just saying, until we get through the bad winter or whatever is going on into the spring, you know, public safety may need to look at a moratorium on lift assist for a while. I'm not saying forever. I'm just saying it might be an idea to look at. And you know, I think if we're upfront with people and upfront with the county, and this is why we're doing it, and the people realize why we're doing it, we can't come and put you in your car to go get groceries. I think most people are civil enough to each other to understand why, and they wouldn't call. So it's just something, you know, I'm just going to put it out there. I don't want to see it happen, but it's something that needs to have some thought to it.
To kind of echo what Gayla was saying, I would ask you, Melissa, if you would check on the legalities of that for us, and even as far as our contract is concerned before our next meeting, you can kind of tell us, you know, if that's something that you think would be possible and how that we would go about doing such a thing. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it is. I think that's a good idea, Gayla, if we would be able to do it in the short term. And it's not that, and maybe that's another one of those situations where, because we potentially could bill for that, maybe that would be a good segue into, like, you know, helping more of our county our volunteer fire departments and whatever else to, you know, help with that, if as far as a fee or something.
Right. And I'm just saying, I'm thinking about a moratorium as far as our EMS, like, you know, our county fire department, if they're able to go, the volunteers, that's fine. But I'm saying, you know, our ambulances and stuff, we may need to look at all that. And it's not, you know, the best situation to be in, but these are hard times right now. And we're going to have to make some hard decisions as far as making sure that we have those people covered, you know, for heart attacks or even COVID related stuff that need to get to the hospital. So public safety probably needs to look at all those avenues, I guess.
All right, if that would be something, Melissa, you would look at, I think that would be
yeah, I'll look into it.
All right, thank you. All right, okay, so let's go on. Next we have purchasing. Do we have anything in that? Nothing for
No.
No, okay. All right, so nothing for purchasing. Moving on, I have in a matter of report from the county mayor.
Nothing at this time. Thank you.
Okay, all right. In a matter of report from the county attorney.
I don't have anything.
All right, in a matter of a report from county commissioners, if any.
Yes,
I do
All right.
have a request.
Okay, two things. All right.
I
Let
do
me
have
see.
a request.
Go ahead, Gayla, and then Calvin, I'll get to you next.
Okay, no problem.
All right.
Sorry about this, but this is just concerning the rec center. I know that we've had a hard year with the rec center and different things like that, and we're sort of getting out of the issues that we had, and we're getting our feet underneath ourselves. But I would ask, and I don't know who wants to reach out, or I can reach out, or Forrest, if that's something you want to do, but I would like to see in our monthly meetings a report from the rec center, as to what's coming in, what's going out, how is everything. So I mean, we get it from the Friends of the Animal Shelter, we get it from Keep Cocke County Beautiful, First Call. So I think we need to add a report, and I think we've asked about this before and we've not gotten it. So we need to start getting a monthly report from our rec center.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead. Go ahead, David.
That's, Mr. Chairman, I actually talked, the chairman of their board called me earlier today and told me that they have made the decision that they're going to start sending us the minutes of their meetings. And I asked for the minutes going all the way back to when Scotty started too. So that we'll get the minutes of their meetings brought to us and funneled through like we normally get our information. That is going to be their report, if that's
Okay.
good with the CLB.
Well, I would like to know actually as far as how our, our activities are going out there, not just, the minutes of their, what they're taking in, expenses. I mean, we get expenses and all that kind of stuff from other, like we do the animal shelter and stuff. So
That should give us that information.
Okay.
What did you say,
Yeah,
David? I didn't hear you.
I think he said that information would be should be in the minutes.
If it's not,
okay.
If it's not, we can ask for it to be put in there. I would assume.
Okay, let's do that, Dave. Okay, Casey,
what.
Oh, go ahead, Gayla.
Okay,
I'm
fine.
sorry.
No,
I didn't
that's
mean to
fine.
cut you
That's
off.
fine. Go ahead.
All right, Casey, you were saying something a second ago to Gayla's.
I was just kind of agreeing with Gayla about, we need to see a budget, what's going in, what's coming out, kind of thing. I was just sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
And I'll tell you what, Gayla, if you would, or anybody, if you all will send me specifically what you're looking for, say, I want to make sure that we have this and that. And as you think of things, then I will compile that and I'll get it to Forrest or David so that we can get it to the rec center. And then that way, you know what I mean? So as you all think of things now, you can just drop an email and just say, hey, I also thought in that rec report, I would like to have this. And then we'll kind of compile that. And surely in a couple of months, we can get all the information that we're looking for. But I think that's a good idea just to make sure that they know to include that. Does that seem satisfactory to everybody? All right, Calvin had a question, and I know, David, you've got something else too, but Calvin's been waiting.
This is not about the rec center. This is about the landfill, the convenience centers and stuff. I've got several calls this week and last week about where they're refusing people that they go around and pick trash up and they're being refused to dump it, and then they happen to take it to the county landfill or somewhere else. And right now we're in that position. Everywhere you go, every road they are has got a lot of trash on, and I didn't know if there's anything we can do to address that and put a sign up or something, because I know the convenience centers, they get jumped on when they refuse, and a lot of people don't understand what we're going through on it, because I'm getting calls, a lot of calls about it right now.
Calvin, and I'm going to echo what you said. I don't know where we need to go with that. I've had a couple people come to me. I wasn't aware of this, but we have a couple of businesses in town who that is their business. And now's not really the time to spend a whole lot, but just to put that on there. Their business is they pick up people's household trash. And for whatever reason, they've been being turned away from the landfill. Now, Is that what you have understood? So
Yes.
I think that in the short term, we need to figure out why that is taking place, because they're picking up Cocke County trash and they're in a Cocke County vehicle. I wasn't aware that we could sort of tell somebody that they couldn't do that, but it's been going on because it's from, and I'll just say this, I don't know how many of those businesses there are in town, but I know that at least 2 of them have contacted me, and it's been not at one particular center. They've had some issues with how that was going on. So I think that's something we may want to look at. And I know that probably needs to come up in landfill, but I think that's something that at our next, landfill meeting, that's one of those things that we need to discuss, because it's not like that they are that they're bringing out of town garbage. It's our garbage.
Yes.
So I think, and I don't know how, there's some issues with that that I think we need to look at, but I just think you're right. That is something that we need to further be on our radar. David, you had a question. Oh, you're not unmuted. Go ahead.
Okay, I just want to make a note that we discussed it before. Remember, don't ask me the month. Please don't ask me the month. Anyway, it goes back some point, and we had talked about, the fact that we were wondering why they're bringing trash in and making money, but we have to understand there's a lot of people out there that can't bring their trash in, that this is a service to them instead of getting it dumped on the side of the road or them piling up in their yards. So I thought we had an answer to this, but I must have been mistaken. I thought there's a lot of things that I think we're having problems with closing deals. You understand what I'm saying, Mr. Chairman? We talk about stuff, we don't seem to actually close it. And that's what we've got to do a better job at. And I'll go back and check this. We need to go back and check the penalty too, and how it's going to be enforced and all that when it comes to dumping outside the gate of the convenience centers. They got questions at the convenience centers. They have no clue how to do this. So we need to get all this worked out, but I think we need to take this back to solid waste board or with somebody. It don't matter who, somebody that let's talk trash. Take it back to them, and we'll figure this out some way or the other and bring it back to you guys, hopefully maybe by next month.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
It's an easy problem to solve. It's just we're not closing the deal.
Right.
Does that make sense?
It does make sense. Oh, go ahead, Terry.
To my knowledge, nobody has told me about them filling up the dumpsters or being refused. The only thing that I was made aware of, the T-cells was coming on the days that it wasn't being emptied, but some of them asked them to wait till the days it was like to be picked up. But that's, to my knowledge, that's all been brought to our attention. I was hoping Chandler would be on here tonight. Of course, you know the situation about the board, and that's all I'm aware of.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Casey, this stuff needs to be put in writing, Clay. We need to have this in writing. You know what I'm saying? Not right now. I'm just, but you know what I'm saying. We need to have stuff like this in writing, so there's no question.
Okay. All right. Very good. Casey, you had a question. I know. I'm sorry. I'm getting to you now.
You're doing a great job. Great valid points, guys. I want to tell you something about working for the county highway department. I'm on every road just about every day. Make no mistake that some of these companies are coming across county lines with these trucks. Even if they are under county tags, they're going across county lines and they are picking up trash in certain spots. We need to do some kind of a permit to do this job. Every job has a permit. I have to have a business license. I have to have a permit. We need to check into this stuff before we start defending just because somebody's going around picking up trash. We have to get our ducks in a row as a county on making sure they're following all their legally business license ordeals and stuff. But I have seen with my own eyes, not naming any company, them come across county lines with a truckload of trash at times. And I'm just telling you, I've seen this with my own eyes. And it's a big issue. Now, am I saying every trash company in the county is doing this? No, but it is a problem. And I wouldn't say anything, but I have seen this occur in 2 different locations, coming up Jones Cove, and I've seen it happen coming across the Hamlin County, more into Bobby area. So I mean, this is an issue, and I agree with David. We need to get closure on some of the stuff that we do instead of just kind of, we use the kick in the can a lot. But in this case, we have a valid problem with this that I've seen with my own 2 eyes in a couple of incidents.
Okay. All right, go ahead, Gary.
Casey's right. On the professional management side of this, if you want to do it right, then you just got to have all these companies register and get a permit for it. And anybody that's dropping the trash off needs to show something when they go to the convenience centers to drop the stuff off. And if we charge a fee to get the license or whatever, if we give it for free, that's something we can decide later on. But Casey's right. That's the easiest way to kind of, I'm going to say police it, but to manage it.
Okay. All right. Thank you all. Any other commission? David, I see your hand up. Go ahead. Forrest, may unmute you. You're still muted.
I wish they had a mute
I'm trying to wrap this up. What Carter and what Casey said, we have talked about it, off the cuff, but we do have plans to discuss everything they talked about. That is part of stuff that's not been wrapped up. That's all I want to say.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Anybody else got anything? If not, let's move on to our a matter of report from the county partnership. That copy is enclosed. Lucas is on here if anybody has any questions for him or he has any comments. Anything for us, Lucas?
Not unless someone has any questions.
Any questions?
How are we moving forward? Or how are we doing, Lucas? Just moving forward on the new industrial park. I haven't heard anybody say anything on it lately. Just could you give us a quick little summary of how things are going?
Yeah. So on the report, I tried to do a little status. There's been a lot of rain this past month, but by and large, we're about 85% complete, or Hummel's 85% complete on the grading on the pad side and for the road side. There's still there's still a lot left to do. Don't get me wrong, but it's coming along. It's, I think it's on schedule. We had our Monday morning briefing, or I did this morning, with Robert Campbell Associates on their observations and status and that kind of thing. And they said we were on track and we're running good. Compaction numbers are coming back good on the subsoil surface measurements, and to my knowledge, all the stormwater mitigation stuff is still up and going. There were a couple of repairs that had to be made over the holidays where some of the silt fence come down and some of the gravel got washed out. But I think that's been addressed. And the engineers are finishing up their permits, or the contractors rather, for Eternal, which that's not a county thing, but it's proceeding on as planned.
Sorry to put you on the spot there.
No, you're good. You're good.
I know we had some people watching through Facebook stuff tonight, hopefully, and a lot of questions just came up. They can't see the report, so I just thought they'd like to hear it from you. Thank you.
Sure.
Anybody? Go ahead,
I just
David.
want to say real quick, again, I want to reiterate to all our CLB members, if you've not gone into his office and sit down and talk to him about everything that's going on, I want to strongly encourage everybody to do that. You get a better feeling. I mean, I know he gives a written report, but it gives you a better feeling on maybe where we're at and what we can get done and all that. So I just want to reiterate that.
Please do.
Have you moved yet, Lucas?
Huh?
Have
Yes,
you moved yet?
we're moved. See, there's a white wall there. There's a window that looks outside. So that's
You're welcome.
Thank you, Gary.
You're welcome.
But yeah, it's looking great.
Very good, very good. Anything else for Lucas? All right, thank you, Lucas. In a matter of the report from the first call ambulance service, that copy was enclosed, as well as the report from Keep Cocke County Beautiful, which copy was enclosed. and a matter of a report from the Friends of the Animal Shelter. The copy was enclosed. David, did you tell me there was somebody from the animal shelter here?
No, I was mistaken. That was my bad.
Oh, okay. All right. Very good.
I
So
was
that
wrong
copy was, if there are any questions about those, then just let me know. But if not, we'll continue on. A matter of report from the Cocke County Corrections Partnership.
Mr. Chairman, I didn't put the vote for to either move to, because we got to decide if we're moving forward with jail or jail and courts facility. I didn't put it on the agenda because we were doing remote, and it's kind of one of the biggest decisions that's been made in a long time. So I wanted everybody to have an opportunity to, and I know, and Crystal, don't let me put words in your mouth. I know the mayor prefers it. We're making a big decision for it to be an open public meeting so people can attend. And given that what things that have come up recently, that would have been good to have talked about it this month, but that's why it's not on the agenda. It's not that we're ignoring it. It's not that we don't think it's an issue. It's because I want all 14 of us to be able to input on it. And I didn't feel like, because we're doing it remote, it just didn't seem like the best month to get everybody to be able to have a dialogue on it.
One thing that I will make a suggestion on, Gary, and Lydia, if you will make this, let's add that to next month's agenda so that we can have that discussion. If we meet, and right now I think the governor's order means that we would have a virtual meeting next month, then we'll just put it off until March. But if we do have an in-person meeting, like if we're able to do in the auditorium, can we set it up that way? Does that make sense?
Yeah, and the gentleman that did the report for us with MBI they'll be available either to appear in person and do a presentation they did for the committee a couple months ago, or to Zoom in, however we got to do it. But yeah, I want them to give their report again and give the presentation, and then anybody that wasn't at the committee meeting to be able to ask some questions and get all the information that they can before we take a vote on it.
All right. Understandable. Thank you very much. New business in the matter of the appointment of David Verdal to the Solid Waste Board. Do I have a motion to accept that? A motion from Mr. Clevenger. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded from Mr. Gillum. Is there any discussion? All right, seeing none, let's have a roll call vote, please.
Barry Ford. Calvin Ball.
No.
Gayla Blazer.
Yes.
Clay Blazer.
Yes.
Norman Smith. Terry Dawson. Terry Dawson.
No. Okay.
Jonathan Laws. Dan Bright.
No.
Casey Gillum.
Yes.
Rick Clevenger.
Yes.
David Verdal.
Yes.
Kyle Shute. Gary Carver.
Yes.
6 ayes. 3 nays. 4 absent.
Yeah, County Attorney, I guess I'm going to ask you, how does that, I know there's always, does that require 8 votes, or does it just require a majority of who's here? I know that there's a difference.
This is just a majority.
So was 6 enough? Because that 6 is the majority of who's here. But you see what I'm saying? I know some things don't require that. That's why I'm.
Like 2/3, don't it?
No, I thought an appointment just required a majority. That's how I understand it. Now, again, correct me if I'm wrong, or is that something you're going to have to check?
We also need to take into consideration, we have a vacant seat, so we have 13 members instead of 14. So the count is different on any majority or.
Yeah, so in this case, 7, you're right, 7 would be the number. If it requires a majority of the body or just a majority of those present.
I'm checking right.
Okay, all right. I'll tell you what, go ahead. Did somebody, Mayor, were you going to say something? I saw, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, while she's checking on that, I was going to bring up, and I'm going to double check again. I'm looking at it, but I'm a little hesitant to say, but in the latest executive order, he did away with the limiting of how many people could gather. So we may be able to meet at the school safely. It does encourage remote, but it's not requiring it, and he did away with the number. There's
Okay.
there's no limit at all, no number mentioned.
All right, I mean, then my inclination is that unless we just have like a major spot or something, we can obviously give the option. If nobody here has an issue with that, we can give the option to zoom in, but that we go back to the auditorium. Does anybody have an objection to that? Again, and I'll just take, unless somebody has an objection to it. And if you'll just let me know, it doesn't even have to be here before I schedule that next month's meeting. Okay. Did you find out something, Melissa? Oh, she's still looking. Did anybody have any, is everybody okay with us going back to the auditorium? Does anybody have some real reservations with that?
It's fine. I like it better, actually.
Got tables.
Yeah, with those tables, yeah, we'll just set that because I know next month was not an issue, so that would be good. We're just going to go on while Melissa's looking at that, because I know that our next thing on there, I see General Dunn is here. So in a matter of discussing the opioid lawsuit, and there was also a part of the agenda amenda, which the amended agenda that involved that in a matter of approval of the retainer agreement. So both of those are things, I don't know, he may be talking about one or both, but General Dunn, I will turn it over to you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the legislative body, Mayor Ottinger. I'm Jimmy Dunn. I'm the District Attorney General for Cocke County, Tennessee, duly elected and sworn in. Thank you for allowing me to address you tonight. And I know you're all busy, and so I'll get to the point. I'm asking you to do two things. And one is to allow me to continue to represent you in the opioid lawsuit that I filed in 2017 in Campbell County, Tennessee. The other one is to sign a retainer agreement, both of which you should have copies of. And let me tell you why. My theory was in 2017, and it is still today, that Purdue Pharma and other manufacturers and distributors of powerful opioids that flooded our county are drug dealers and can be sued as such. And we sued under the Drug Dealer Liability Act, state of Tennessee. Now, the Supreme Court has ruled that I am right on that issue. It says a jury may ultimately decide that fact. If I may here read you just a little bit of what I'm talking about, it says the legislature created a statutory cause of action for family members of drug users, including babies exposed to illegal drugs in utero, employers, insurers, medical facilities, governmental entities, of which you are one, and others that have expended resources on behalf of an illegal drug user, and anyone injured by the actions of an illegal drug user against those who knowingly participate in the illegal drug market in Tennessee. It says successful plaintiffs may recover economic and non-economic damages, punitive damages, attorney fees, cost of the litigation, including expert witness fees. Now, when this lawsuit was filed in 2017, and I was in that lawsuit because I want Cocke County to get their share of any monies or awards that can be made in a civil action of this case. I remember 2007. Now, I was the elected district attorney in 2007 as well. And in that year, the state of Tennessee Attorney General joined in a lawsuit with several other states against one of these same companies, Purdue Pharma. And at that time, there was a settlement. And as part of that, they got a little less or a little over $800,000, a little less, I believe. Part of that money was $400,000 went to the state attorney general's office for his attorney fees. The other 300 and some odd $1,000 went to the legislature, and that was to balance the state budget. Cocke County got nothing. No other county in Tennessee got anything out of that settlement. Now, so when this opportunity opened up, I joined in to see if my county could share in any civil penalties or money from these illegal drug dealers. So the Court of Criminal or Court of Appeals, Civil Appeals, agreed that I could do that. However, the Tennessee Supreme Court ruled just last month in December 2020 that local DAs had no standing to sue as such. And what they did say that I would have to, in that regard, it says, instead, we determined that the legislature meant that a prosecuting attorney could serve as a legal counsel for a party who has statutory standing to sue. Counties, governmental entities, it clearly says in here that they have, Cocke County has standing to sue. So what I'm asking you to do is to continue to let me represent you, and you'd have to agree to a resolution saying that. And then I would ask you to sign a retainer agreement asking me to represent you and a law firm that I have been involved with, which is Stranch and Brandstetter, Stranch and Jennings to assist me in that. Now I think he's on there, but I'm not right sure. But I spoke earlier with Tony Landy. He's a member of the legal team, and he should be on Zoom tonight. So if you have any questions of me or he, maybe we can together can answer any questions that any of you have.
Thank you. And I'm on general, so you're aware. Thank you.
General Dunn, 4th Legislative 6th District. All you need from us tonight is someone to make a motion to accept this as is, if you represent us. Correct?
That's what I'm asking you, sir.
I'd like to make the motion that we accept General Dunn's retainer request and the county enter into this agreement.
I'll second.
All right, so we have a motion from Forrest and I have a second from Mr. Veridal. All right, is there any other discussion?
Yes, there are no costs to the county to this unless we win, right?
There's no cost to them either.
That's correct.
So we just need 25%.
And also, if I could follow up on that, in your retainer agreement, there should be a line in there, and I know it is. It says that District Attorney General Jimmy Dunn will not take a fee or otherwise be compensated for his time. I just wanted you to make sure that nothing goes to me, go to the county.
Okay.
Clay,
Thank you very much, John.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Go ahead, Mayor.
clarify that the motion is for the resolution and the retainer, because both have to be approved. And just as a bit of housekeeping, on the resolution, the version that you have in front of you says it met in regular session on the 19th of January. The one that if you all have voted and I'm to sign it, that one will say this date.
Okay, that's a good point. Let's do those separate. Just, I mean, like rather than doing them together, not to add any more paperwork for Lydia, but let's go first of all with the very first one. We'll do the retainer agreement in just a minute, but let's do the very first one. Is that okay with you, Forrest and David? We'll do those as two separate ones. All right, you're saying that's okay? Okay.
We need to amend our motion, but that is fine with us.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So our first thing is on the initial agreement, and then, I mean, which we know will have today's date, not what was in your packets, just so everybody is clear on that. And we're good with that too, attorney, right?
Yes.
That gets us, all right. Okay, very good, very good. All right, so go ahead. We'll have a roll call, please.
So this is for the resolution, correct?
For the resolution, correct. We'll do the retainer next.
Okay, so who is, the motion and second is Forrest and David?
Correct.
Thank you. Sorry. Okay. Barry Ford, Calvin Ball,
Yes.
Gayla Blazer,
Yes.
Clay Blazer,
Yes.
Norman Smith, Terry Dawson,
Yes.
Jonathan Laws, Dan Bright,
Yes.
Casey Gillum,
Yes.
Forrest Clevenger,
Yes.
David Virdal,
Yes.
Al Shutte, Gary Carver.
Yes.
9 ayes, 4 absent.
So now we need to consider that retainer agreement, which is the second part of that. Do I have a motion to accept that from General Dunn?
Make a motion.
I have a motion from Mr. Ball and seconded from Mr. Clevenger. All right, is there any discussion on that? Seeing none, let's have a roll call vote, please.
Okay, 1 moment.
Oh, no, you're fine, Lydia.
Barry Ford, Calvin Ball,
Yes.
Gayla Blazer,
Yes.
Clay Blazer,
Yes.
Norman Smith, Terry Dawson,
Yes.
Jonathan Laws, Dan Bright,
Yes.
Casey Gillum,
Yes.
Forrest Clevenger, David Virdal,
Yes.
Al Shutte, Gary Carver.
Yes.
9 ayes, 4 absent.
All right, is that all you have for us, General Dunn?
Thank you so very much. I appreciate you all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all as well.
All right, thank you guys very much. All right, going on with our agenda, in a matter of discussion of the suggested compromise in naming the new Innovation Park requested by the IDB Board of Directors to the Smoky Mountain Innovation Park of Cocke County. Do I have any action on that?
I have comments.
Okay, hold on. I mean, I know that you do, but again, if we do not have a motion in a second, then we can't necessarily discuss it, and it would just die for lack of
Okay.
that. Go ahead.
Okay.
What's the action item though?
Oh, well, you're right. We can discuss that. Go ahead, Gayla. I'm sorry, because it just says discussion. I mean, you're right, Gary.
Right.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Gayla.
I know that they have suggested that we change from what we voted on prior. I just feel like that we need to leave it as is. We need to promote, and I have said this over and over, we need to promote our county. We don't need to promote the Smoky Mountains. That is not where, I mean, we just need to promote our people, our county. I just think we need to leave it where what we voted on before. And I have had quite a few, I mean, I've had calls on it. And they wanted it left with Smoky, you know, with Cocke County first. And I think we need to put Cocke County first.
Any other comments or discussion?
I spoke with Ms. Blazer about this earlier, and also on the IDB board. There was some confusion, I believe. Ms. Blazer was under the impression that the IDB had recommended that we actually hire a person marketing to come in and tell us what we need to name this park. That was not what was said. What was said, Lucas had thought he may be able to get someone to do it pro bono to give us some ideas. At no point in time did we suggest to pay money to have someone come in here and name this park. One of the biggest things that concerns me is the length of the name. If we go with Cocke County, in, what was it, Industrial Innovation Park or whatever. It needs to be simple. I would like to.
I mean,
I
we
guess
can
it-
change it. We could change it, and you
Just
and
the
I did talk
innovation
about
part.
this, and just
Yeah.
a Cocke County Innovation Park. I'm
I
fine with
like
that.
that.
I
I do
just
like
want
that.
us to promote our county and not the Smoky Mountains. If we have to use the Smoky Mountains to promote our county, we're doing something wrong. Now that's just the way I feel. And this has been this has been me every time saying Cocke County first, Cocke County first. And it has nothing to do with what I heard or whatever, that, you know, the IDB board was going to pay somebody to help us. I feel like our county, our citizens in this county is paying their taxes, and those kind of things are going to pay for this park. Cocke County needs to be the center of it, period. I've always felt that way. I've not changed my mind on it. I've heard from other people, and I'm fine with Cocke County Innovation Park. But if I'm telling you, if it takes us and we have to use Smoky Mountains to sell our county, we got problems. We need to sell our county and be able to sell our county. And like I said, I'm fine with the Cocke County Innovation Park.
The one issue that I do have play, and being a member of the IDB board and on the CLB, it kind of makes it a little tough. The industrial park is actually owned by the IDB. We give them that power. We give them the park.
And who's paying for it? The IDB board or the county people?
If I give my daughter a car, she can name it whatever she wants. It's her car. I do think that they need to hear our suggestions. I agree. But it all boils down, basically, it belongs to the IDB and it is their call, whatever they want to name it. We haven't named it. We have not come up with a name. We haven't agreed to one yet. But I think since they are the rightful owner, they should name it.
And who's paying for it, though? Who in the heck is paying for it? The county, the people in the county.
Amen.
Not the people in the Smoky Mountains.
I mean, I don't even know what they're going to name it. We haven't decided what we're going to name it.
Well,
Smoky Mountains is not the name of it.
You know, like I said, that's all I've got to say about it. You know, Cocke County Innovation Park's fine with me, but.
Is me and Gayla have disagreed on this and still love her to death. We have disagreed on this and disagreed on this, but I'll say right now, what she's saying, I understand that, and I'm good with that. If that's what they want to do, I mean that's fine. I'm good. I think we need to get this behind us though, and move forward. I mean, we're talking about a name, so let's just get it named. And I guess it goes back to the industrial board, right? Is that right, Lucas? For a final say? Lucas?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm good. As far as I know, that this was the recommendation, and that maybe the mayor wants to chime in on that as well, but that was during discussions. But at the end of the day, it's both the board's pleasures.
In other words, they just want some kind of name from us other than what we threw out there.
I think the idea is it would be good to have synergy between the two, but I mean, like Forrest says, it's the IDB owns the park, so that's the board that would ultimately decide the name of it.
Right now, if the name Cocke County's put in, or the people that are so adamant to have it in there, let's ask them to put that part in there and just put the rest what they want and be done.
That was part of the discussion, the IDB meeting, is that Cocke County is a part of the name, but as far as what
It's secondary, actually, secondary to the Smoky Mountains.
As far as what gets marketed is the Smoky Mountains, because that is the more marquee name. And it's not about, we've all got pride in our community. And it's not that we don't think that.
I didn't say that, Gary. I'm just saying, if we have problems in this county, not being able to sell our county without having to use the Smoky Mountains, we've got issues.
Gayla, we're
not
selling
problems. It, or I know, but we're not selling it or doing it right some way. Now, people in the county realize that, and I understand that the IDB board owns that. but the people in this county are paying for it. And I mean, like I said, Cocke County Innovation Park is fine with me. I'm just saying Cocke County needs to be first.
Ayla, do you really think that many people care what it's named?
Yes.
Well, I've had some calls about it. Yeah, I do. I've had some calls about it, believe it or not, Gary.
All right, David, what
All
were you
right,
gonna say? Go ahead,
I'm
Mayor.
out.
I was just gonna say, I think the spirit of what the IDB sent back was a compromise. I think various members of both the county commission and the Joint Industrial Development Board liked both Smoky Mountain and Cocke County, and that's why you've got this name came back. The IDB didn't just vote for the three that were submitted. They did a combo of two of them. And I think that was their compromise. And then they brought it back to you all.
All right, Calvin, go ahead.
If we couldn't name it, what did we even sit down there last month and come up with names if we didn't have the right to pick and choose who what it was?
It's a recommendation.
Okay. I'm with Gayla on it. I think it's Cocke County or to be named Cocke County, but that's just my opinion only.
All right, do we have any other comments?
Gary,
Go ahead.
Gary, if we put the name Cocke County into this name and just tell them to put Cocke County where they would like, and would that be compromising and sufficient for the IDB board?
Ask that a different way, David. It makes sense to me.
Yes, to take his mask off and then everything.
David, Cocke County's already in the name that they sent back. It's the Smoky Mountain Innovation Park of Cocke County is what they came back with as a secondary consideration for you all.
If we,
And I say they, and I'm on it.
if we took Smoky Mountain out of it, would that be a compromise at that point?
I don't want to put words. I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth. What I'm understanding is that we had those initial proposals, and again, correct me if I'm wrong. We had those initial proposals that came about. We sent back. I think that what we sent back, the IDB board felt as if was not as nearly as marketable as what what they sent back, like as a compromise. Now, ultimately, I think it's an IDB board decision. Although, as Gary has said, they would just like for us to like be okay with that. So whenever if you'll recall, they sent us like 3 names initially, and we did not select any of those. We kind of went out on our own and said this was what, we kind of combined those things. So then they've come back with that combination based on something that they wanted in it, which was, we have all those main components. I think the biggest concern right now is, which is first, Cocke County or Smoky Mountain? I mean, give me some of that whole bit.
Yeah, that's it. We all love Cocke County and we get it because we're here. We've lived here most of our lives, if not all of our lives. So we get it, but we're trying to reach out to people that aren't in our cloud and get them to come here based on something. And it's those key search words. It's going to get them interested in looking at us to start with. Then they'll understand why we have so much pride in Cocke County and everything it is. Every community that's in this county, we all love our communities. And, but that stuff doesn't mean anything to somebody if you're not already ingrained in it. That's my thought on it. And that's what I could care less if it's this, I mean, whatever mountain, but it's a key word for marketing, the Great Smoky Mountains. And that's what we want to do, is make the reach for the park as wide as possible. And that's the only reason that I even suggested and recommended that name the first time we went with it. And I mean, Gayla, I agree with you. I agree with Calvin.
I mean, I understand. I mean, I really do understand what you're saying. I mean, I understand the marketing point of it. My thing is, and still will be, and when people are looking for a park, an industrial park or whatever, they are not automatically going to Google Great Smoky Mountains, because you think about when you go to the Great Smoky Mountains, you are coming for fun, Gatlinburg, Sevierville, Pigeon Forge, those places. Sometimes Cocke County for some specific things, but had that worked and had that really been great, I feel like Sevierville would have already done it, because we're so far behind the 8 ball in Cocke County and we're not forward thinking about it. So I feel like we need to promote our county, not the Smoky Mountains. And that's fine. You all do what you want to do, because evidently our CLB doesn't have any sway over that. The IDB board owns it, and the county taxpayers are going to be the ones that pays for it. So we'll name it whatever you want to name it.
My request would be that whatever the IDB, if that's who's going to name it, chooses to name it, that we pick that name, stick with it, don't change it, because we saw what happened at Walter State when they went from the Expo Center to the Great Smoky Mountains Expo Center, and that we support it, whether we are absolutely in love with it or we just kind of like it, that we are unified since it's a joint IDB board and we're the county commission, that we support it as it is and do our parts to promote it as best we can.
Yes, ma'am.
Casey, you had something to say. Sorry, I did not see that. Go ahead.
I'll just say I agree with Gayla, and I agree with Gary. I mean, really and truly, our county really doesn't have any market other than the Smoky Mountains. That and other, some stained images maybe that our county has received over the years. I mean, we don't have a market. The only market we have are that we're connected to the Gatlinburgs and the Seviervilles. And as sad as that is, that's the truth. It's sad, but it's the truth. I mean, we're not marketed. We have to be marketable. In order for us to be marketable, we have to get marketed. I mean, so we have to get out there in order for us to be able to have these opinions on what things are named. We have to get what Google will pull up to the top of the list when somebody looks, or Facebook. You have to be at the top of the search engine whenever that comes up, and it will matter on how the name's saying. I mean, like I said, I agree with Gayla 100%, but I also agree with Gary on this. Marketing is fecal. You have to have something marketable for it just to throw anything on it. And right now, we don't, as a county, have anything marketable other than the Great Smoky Mountains.
It's just about making that sell right now. And I wish that Cocke County was as a beloved thing as the Great Smoky Mountains are. I wish that the freaking park was named the Cocke County National Park. That'd be amazing, but that's what we got. And it's a marketing tool that we do have because it's in our county, and that yeah, what Casey said.
I'll add to that. Regionalism, when you're naming a park, is very, very common practice. It's done in Knox County. It's done in Sevier County. It's done in Morristown, and lots of places. That's the common trend. And the reason is because when you try to capture a regionalism marketing aspect, you get more hits. The more people, the more eyes looking at the sites that you have, the better chance you sell. It's just marketing 101. I'll also add Cocke County is included in the name, but the whole point is to fill up this part. Is there better odds of someone, a disgruntled company from California or Oregon or somewhere out west that's wanting to get out of that atmosphere and wanting to relocate here? Are they better apt to Google search industrial properties in the Smoky Mountains? They don't know about Cocke County, or it maybe not even sold on Tennessee, but they may be Googling in the Smoky Mountains there. They just know they want to be in the centrally located around the mountains for the quality of life. That's a very attractive thing to Google search.
We can't allow we can't allow our pride to stop us from being able to market our county any further. I mean, we can't allow our pride to stop that.
At the end of the day, what we're tasked with is filling up that industrial park, or what I'm tasked with is filling up that industrial park. We really all are, from that standpoint, and to get jobs in here. And that's what we're after. We're trying to get attention, people looking at it, people wanting to invest. And frankly, that gives us the best opportunity to do that.
My opinion, Lucas, is we need to listen to experts. And I understand Gayla's point. I agree with what she's saying. You know, we do need to market this county, but we also need the best return on our investment. We need an expert to tell us what would be the best route to take. We've got 14 members on this board. Who has a degree in marketing? How many of us on this board has a degree in marketing and naming industrial parks? None of us. You know, Gary's probably the closest one. I've got about 12 hours of marketing and promotions, but I'm not an expert. And everything I've learned in life, especially running a small business, is you listen to the experts. If you're paying somebody to tell you to do something, you need to do it. Don't not do it. We have an IDB board. There's a lot of professionals on that board, people who are in business, you know, and I think we should just listen to the experts and go with what they tell you. If they say Cocke County's fine, let's do it. If they say we'll get a better bounce back with a Smoky Mountain industrial or Smoky Mountain Industrial or Innovation Park, that's where we need to go. And, you know, that's just my opinion. We need someone to guide us because we are not experts. And for us to claim that we are and we know what's best, that's folly. That's folly.
So I will say to that, I've never said I was an expert, period. Not one time did I. I'm saying that because of just from people I've heard. And a few people really have called, whether you believe it or not, they have called and said, hey, but you know, I want our industrial park to be successful, but I can't hear you, Forrest.
Okay, I'm just.
I understand that.
Okay.
I understand that. And I'm not stupid either, Forrest, okay?
I'm not
I'm
saying
just saying,
I understand
that, but listen to me. We have people that are supposed to be marketing Cocke County. And if it takes to use Smoky Mountain to market Cocke County, we're not doing the job we need to be doing to market our county. Our county. That's what I want to see. Our county marketed.
We're not marketing.
We're marketing.
And that's fine. You, like I said, name that, let the IDB board name it, that's fine.
Let me just interject here. So if everybody would just kind of listen up so that we can focus in. I think if we look at what the agenda item is, and I think at this point in time, it says a matter of discussion of suggested compromise in naming the new innovation park. We have discussed that. I don't know that any action was going to be taken on that, because I think it's very clear, unless someone specifically wants to like go on the record as being like with a particular vote. It's non-binding, and I think that clearly I would just say to those on that IDB board and those either coming from that, there was not a general consensus as far as like what we should do, and there was some very vocal opposition to that particular the naming of that. But without that being our particular giving, you know, like, and again, I'll go back and I'll say, I know what Gayla was making mention of, but we don't specifically, if it's not our job to name that, when we're only going to give that, we can sit here and argue this all night, but we're not really going to get anywhere with that. So I think I think that as long as those, and I'll just say, because I think 3 or 4 of you are on that IDB board, as long you've heard these comments, you ultimately have to make that decision. And it's not, I mean, it's not in our hands, but you know what the reservations are. Does that sound fair? Without any, because I don't think any action is required unless somebody says specifically that's what they wanted. which that's not what it says.
Okay,
All right.
we'll move on.
All right, let's go on. I'm gonna go back to Melissa. Did you find out information for us specifically?
Yeah, it's just a majority of the people that voted here. So it
Majority?
passes.
So it passes. Okay. All right. Very good. That was just, all right. I did not know that. Thank you very much. That question. All right. Moving on. In a matter of considering revision of the Hotel Motel Private Act.
Clay.
Yes. I'm sorry,
Clay.
Casey. I'm sorry. I apologize. Go ahead.
Okay. First, I want to ask you to explain what can happen on this tonight, so people will know. Are we going to? Is this just for discussion, or is this something set up to be voted on tonight? And if it is set to be voted on, can I make a motion to table it till we can be in a live meeting?
Hey, Clay, yeah, Casey, because we've only got 9 people anyway, so no matter what, it can't pass.
It can't pass through, and there's no really reason to vote on it tonight unless I can give you the information I've got now. If you want that, if you don't want it, we'll wait. The biggest reason we were trying to get this put through tonight is because we have to have this to present to the state legislature in February when they do their budget. If we don't do that, it's going to throw us off. Well, we're going to be thrown off anyways. It doesn't matter. It would have thrown us off a year, and we would have had a year's worth of lost revenue. Hey guys, can you hold on a second? I'm talking. Shut up. If we would be out a year of revenue, and this could potentially bring in millions of dollars in extra revenue to the county. If you use the numbers that's given to you by the Tennessee Department of Tourism on the return of investment, this could be big. And this is this tax that we would collect and reinvest in promotion and tourism. It compounds yearly. The more money that we put out, the more money we bring in, and it creates more money, and it just continues on. This could be a game changer. We've got a lot of industries in this county that has to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to do their own promoting, because we don't help them. We don't help them at all, because we have a marketing budget of $25,000 that goes to to Lucas. That money is also spent on just on promotion of tourism. It's also used for industrial promotion and retail development. So the tourism department doesn't get the whole $25,000. We have a website that's up. I don't know if has anyone seen our website? It's y'all come to the Smokies. That website is probably Lucas can give you more information. It's a lot better than anything we've got.
Y'all visit the Smokies.
Y'all visit the Smokies. Yeah, is that the name of it? But my whole point, I had a lot prepared for this. I know we have some opposition out there, and it's the people who run the rental cabins. It's that industry there. They think it's going to hurt them because it will take them out of competition with Gatlinburg, because Gatlinburg does not have a hotel motel tax. They don't need it. But what Gatlinburg does have, they have a tax on their food, an extra tax. And we've got to stay on a level playing field with the people. Jefferson County and Greene County both bring more in tourism revenue than we do. We have so much more to market than they do. We've got this bicycle trail coming in. We've got over a $6 million investment with the federal government for the Blue Ridge Bicycle Trail. And we're standing here with no ability to promote this. We can't get the word out to people. We're not going to be able to draw in the tourists that we should. I'd recommended a 2% tax increase. That would generate around $225,000, $240,000. That's just a guess. And all that money goes directly to tourism and promotion of this county. Gayla was talking, that we want to promote this county. Well, it's sad to think that we only spend $25,000 to do it. and they don't even get the bare share of that. Okay, there is a return of investment ratio that the state of Tennessee, the Department of Tourism will tell you, for every dollar we spend, we should generate $8 in revenue. So if we spend the $200,000 in promotion, according to the state, we're going to generate $1.6 million in revenue that comes back to this county. That's people eating in their restaurants, in their shops, buying food, okay, buying stuff. Don't talk to me when I'm doing this, please. Yeah, but I mean, it would increase, you know, increase the revenue. And if you look at a snapshot of the county, all the counties, our tourism, the money that we bring in from that, it keeps our property taxes low because it generates sales tax. That's according to the state of Tennessee, each household saves around $300 a year from what we're bringing in. Okay, so now if we're bringing in X amount of dollars and we spend 200,000, we're going to bring in a lot more. It's not going to bring anybody's property taxes down, but what it'll do, it'll give us another source of revenue where we don't have to raise them in the future. And
Or Commissioner Clevenger.
Yes, sir.
Since we can't, I mean, we can vote on it, but there's no way it'll pass because we don't even have 2/3 of the body present. Why don't, like Casey recommended, let's table it. And also, can I make Melissa, can I make a recommendation? I think item 14, maybe. It's the thing about where it says it goes in the general fund.
This has been a very big question.
Yeah, we need to.
That money cannot go in the general fund.
Right. We need to make sure that the language reflects that it needs to be earmarked for the partnership for marketing.
A year ago, let me let you know, a year ago, I was in on a conference call with Lucas, several others, the director of the Department of Tourism, their director. And it was told to us, if we try to do this and try to take that money and put it in the general fund, they will not pass it. The way the state is, it has to go to tourism and marketing.
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. What I do. Oh, I'm sorry, Melissa. I know that's what State Senator Sutherland told me, that like any new hotel motel tax revenues have to go for a specific
Section
purpose
10.
and they have to be limited. Go ahead, Melissa. I'm sorry.
And I've talked in length to several owners of rental cabins. Their biggest concern is that we're not going to do the right thing with this money. And I hate to say this, and I almost found it insulting, but I do see the man's point. Through the years, you know, they don't trust the county government in doing the right thing. If we go back to the whitewater rafting, the $2 fee that we collected from that supposed to have been going to promote that industry in that area. But somehow, years ago, not this body, not anyone here, that money got stuck in the general fund. We got to make sure that doesn't happen here. We got to reassure the public that they can trust this government to manage money. You know, that's going to be a hard sale.
Melissa, it was section 10. I apologize, not 14. And also, could I recommend that we add a section 15 and add a 5-year sunset provision so we can see, Lucas, correct me if I'm wrong, good marketing plan, anywhere from 3 to 5 years to really take effect, right? So if in 5 years we see it's not working, then it'll be a different body, but that body can choose to renew it or not. That'd be my 2 recommendations.
So I think
the statute. So the statute allows you.
Okay, go ahead, Melissa.
The statutes permit you to decide where you want the money to go. I'm not sure if this changed, but a lot of the hotel motel tax statutes changed this January. And that's how I wrote it, since I knew it would not be passed until this January. If you guys want it to go to a very specific fund, I can put that in there. Just tell me which fund you want me to change it to.
Okay, Mayor, go ahead.
And I was under the impression from our discussion at the budget committee that it had to go specifically to tourism with the way was discussed as a tourism project, which not that marketing couldn't be, but I didn't want us to limit it just to marketing if that's not the project that you all want to present, but it does have to have that time. It does have to be for a set time. The way I understood it, it has to have a sunset. It's not optional. It has
You're
to be.
correct on that, Mary. It does have to have an expiration date.
All right. So I think that as we're looking at this, obviously, because we're going to have to put that off, and maybe this would fall, I mean, I guess under a finance committee. Is that correct? Is that where we think that would fall?
I would think it might be better because that's going to get more commissioners than the budget committee.
I would agree. So let's just set that to, okay, go ahead, Casey. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Forrest, real quick, just a couple of things on that 2% that you're recommending. Even in the city of Newport, would we get the full 2%? And two, do you have a rental cabin count in the county specifically to know how many we're having to raise this up on and how it will affect? I mean, do we get the whole 2% even if we tax the city hotels?
No, actually, we get every dime of that if we do it. It goes countywide, even on the city motels. As far as an actual count, I don't know if it can be done as far as how many rental cabins. We'd have to ask Lydia or someone out of the court clerk's office maybe to do it. I understand their fears. But yeah, I want them to be involved in this. I spoke to a gentleman, Alan Sutherland. He's with Cosby Creekside Rentals. He's a property management. He handles a large amount of cabins for other people. And
out of Gatlinburg, right? He's out of Gatlinburg, correct?
No, he's out of He's out of Cosby.
Okay.
He handles the local ones. And when I spoke to him, he told me, he said, look, he said, you are the first official from the county to ever contact him about his industry. I find that kind of disturbing. No one has ever and they're huge. That's a big outfit. No one's ever sat down and talked to him and asked him, what can we do for you? What can we help promote your business? How can we, because they bring in a lot of people. When they bring in a family, they're spending money at our stores. We're generating tax revenue. We need to be with these people, helping them, promoting it. Okay. I think we need to look into that.
Okay. Other comments or questions?
I'm sorry, Clay, but my phone dropped.
Okay.
And I didn't get an answer. I didn't hear the answer to that question. Did you? Everybody hear the question I was asking? I don't know if you did or not.
I don't know if we did or not. Go ahead, Gayla. Let's say it again.
The question I was wanting to know is, you all said that this tax would have to go to marketing, right? Is that correct?
Not necessarily. It just has to go to a tourism-related project.
Tourism-related projects. So
yeah.
The taxes that we get now, is that where that's going?
No, they go to the general fund. That's the way the private act was written.
The last time.
Right. And all this would do is this does not go away. That original, like this would just be for a short period of time, which would be an increase of whatever percentage. And I think what we said, 2%, and it would have a time frame that it would be in there. And so what monies were collected would go to whatever specific project, however we deem that. And that all has to be written in the private act. I think, among other things, that's one of the things that we need to, if we want to do such thing, we'll have to hammer all that out at a committee meeting. Go ahead.
Did you say 2 cents or 2%? What was that? I heard 2 cents or 2%. I guess my question is, how much would it be? And you said it's written into the private act for so long, and then it would go to the general fund. Is that correct? Or
no, then it goes away.
Does it stop? Then it goes
stops.
away, right?
It goes away.
Is there a length to that you're looking for? Huh?
Go ahead, Galen, then I'll get to Pete. Go ahead.
Is there a length to that? Is there
Yes,
Years?
it's,
How many
it's
years?
a time
Okay, I
limit.
see 2%. Okay.
And that's a state requirement. Those are things that before they can even try to pass it, that they're going to look at. All right, Pete, go ahead, and then I'll get back to Gayla if you've got any other questions. Go ahead, Pete. Go ahead, Pete. Sorry.
Yeah. I spoke to Mr. Strickland as well. And he's in the rental business, and he was adamantly against this tax. As it would put him at an unfair advantage to get.
You hit mute, Pete. We can't hear you.
Yeah, I just heard you say it put them at an unfair advantage to Gatlinburg. That was the last thing I heard.
You're still muted, Pete.
Heather, can you unmute him?
No, I
Now,
can only mute people. Oh.
Go ahead, Pete. Go ahead now.
Now, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. Alan spoke to me. He called me. And he's adamantly against this because it would put him at a disadvantage to Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge.
I just spoke with him myself.
Okay. So we have those two with opposition. Well, again, I think as we move, as we're going to look at this, I think it's going to be something as we go back and we say we can't do anything about it tonight. Let's take that and put it in front of a finance committee and obviously give a little bit more time to vet it out and see what the concerns are before we move forward with it. The only, as Forrest said, the only downside to that is it's going to delay being able to get it through the state legislature. But obviously we need to do what's best for our citizens. And that's just, I guess that's just the direction that we have to move in.
Hey, Clay, can I say just one more thing?
You may.
And I'll hush on the whole side. So as far as I know, my area is the largest concentrated area of the cabin rentals. And I've spoke with all the major players of it in there, and none of them are really for it. I'm not saying anything's wrong, but if the county attorney could get some literature for me on the, if it's possible, on the city tax and making sure that we get 100% of that if it was to go through instead of the 2% that he's nominating. And but like I said, the largest concentration of cabin rentals, I'm pretty sure in the counties in my area, and I'm getting a lot of feedback on this, and a lot of people continue to talk to me. So I hope that this gets brought back up again and we can discuss it later. And that's all I got on it. Thank you, Clay. I'm losing. Also, I'm losing my phone right now, guys. I'm so sorry. I've been on my phone today trying to work off it, and I'm about to lose it. So I'll see y'all next meeting.
All right. Thanks, Casey. Go ahead.
Clay, point of clarification, the council would have to pass their own, that they would have to pass their own private resolution and private act to raise, like the county couldn't raise a tax for the city, basically. So we would have to, yeah, my guys would have to do their own, and lady would have to do their own, this process to in order to create more tax to get more revenue. So.
Okay. All right. Very good. All right, so that's all we have on that one. Let's move on to the next item. We just got a couple more to go. In the matter of approval of the warranty deed for the use and benefit of the Cocke County Library Board, that copy was enclosed. This is all just in, and I know Steve Davidson is here from the Library Board. This is all just moving the process along. That's just one of those things that we have to do in order to for them to access this for the Cosby Library. So if you have any questions, Mr. Davidson is here and can address those for us.
I'll make a motion. We approve the warranty deed.
All right, we have a motion to approve that. I have a seconded for Mr. Clevenger. All right, any discussion or Mr. Davidson, is there anything you want to say? I mean, I know that there.
No, we've been working on this for the library board for several months, and this is just a non-controversial tying up a loose end, I hope.
All right, good deal. Thank you. All right, if no other discussion, let's have a roll call vote, please.
Mary Ford, Calvin Ball,
Yes.
Kayla Blazer,
Yes.
Clay Blazer,
Yes.
Norman Smith, Terry Dawson,
Yes.
Jonathan Laws, Dan Bright,
Yes.
Casey Gillum, Forrest Clevenger,
Yes.
David Verdi,
Yes.
Al Shutte, Gary Carver,
Yes.
8 ayes, 5 absent.
All right, so I think the only other thing that we have left is on the amended agenda is a matter of discussion of the Civil Service Board and possible reappointments. Before we get to that, I want to, I had spoken with the county attorney about this situation, and I know that she provided me with some information today. Would you care to share that with the rest of the board right now, as far as that's concerned, about like that information that you found out for me, just so that we can be perfectly clear? Go ahead. You're on mute. You're muted. Oh. Oh, wait. Yeah, almost was it. There you go.
Okay. There. Okay. So the members cannot be removed unless it's following their policy. So there's a couple of reasons they can be removed. It's incompetence, derelict of duty, malfeasance, or conviction of a crime. They also have to be removed by the entire CLB, not just a subcommittee. And if any of those things are present, you have to send them or serve them written charges. There has to be a public hearing before the CLB with 10 days notice. According to when this board was first put in place, it looks like only one member would be up for reappointment this year, and that wouldn't be until July.
All right. So I know there were some concerns. I won't even say concerns, but there were some questions about that. But that I think that answers that particular issue. I mean, if that is something that we want to, that is something that would come back up, not again until July, unless, as we said, there was a specific. Go ahead.
Clay, I have the state law, the statutes on that, and it says specifically TCA code 88405, terms of members. One member selected by the county for 1 year, 1 by 2, 1 by 3. We have never rolled these members off. They've been on there for 10 years. We need to roll one off tonight. We need to be replacing. And I don't think that, other than they should have been rolled off, so they're not affected by this other, what the county mayor is, or attorney has came up with, in my opinion. We can ask CTASC if you want to, but I do believe that it is time. This is my only thing. I don't care who's on the Civil Service Board. They're doing a job. But when it's brought up to me that we're in violation of the charter that created them, and we are in violation of the state law, we need to correct the situation.
We're not in violation of either. They're actually.
So yes, we are. Right here is the code, the Tennessee State Code.
No, but
it's a roll off of 1 and 2. They've never been reported. We've not done this by the way it's set up. We've done it the way we wanted to. I mean, you
have appointed the same people every single time, and it's
were they appointed? We have to have a meeting to appoint. There was never a meeting. If you can go back and find where we had a meeting and actually reappointed these people, fine, your argument is valid. But if you cannot, you have no argument. If you can do that, if you can show me where we've reappointed these members for the past 10 years, then you are correct. If you cannot,
the policy that I was given was actually in 2016. So I'm not sure the 10 years that you're referring to. The policy that was approved was in 2016. Again, and also they're staggered. So even if you wanted to roll one off, per the terms, it would have to be every one per year so that they're staggered.
Okay, we'll start now.
Again, the policy that was approved was in July 2016. It is a 3-year.
I've got it right here. I've got a copy of it right here. Also,
you're
I have
referring to a 10 years. It's 2016 that the policy was approved.
Okay, these are the same members that were on in 2010 that were on in 2016. If my math is correct, that's 5 years. They should have been rolled off in 1 year increments. There's 3 members, that's 3 years, right? So it doesn't matter if it was 20 years, 10 years, or 6 years, the argument is still the same.
It does, because if you re-approved a policy in 2016,
Again, this policy has never been reapproved. Those people have never been reappointed.
I have the
did-
policy where it was approved in 2016.
Okay,
Can I
it
interject?
was approved in 2016, but do you have were they rolled off a member? Do you have the vote? Were they rolled off a member in 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21? I was on the
Hold on.
committee for 2 years. We haven't done that.
Hold on for just a second. All right, there's just a couple things. I mean, first of all, what I asked the county attorney to find was based on the information that she had. I mean, I think you guys are clearly talking about competing pieces of information. So number one, we need to because I mean, what I'm seeing here is I'm seeing that you're both talking about two different things, and I'm not siding with either person. I'm just looking at it from an objective point. You guys are talking about two totally different issues.
Different things, Clay. I'm talking about if it's a 2016, it's irrelevant to date. The committee recommended that we do this. The safety or the Public Safety Committee, we recommended that we do this. Okay, we looked at this.
And I was at that meeting. You're right.
Did we not recommend that we do this? Let's have a vote.
Did.
We can't even have a vote on it.
You can
we have a vote on it now?
Well, you can. Well, put it this way: you can put that in the form of a motion. I mean,
No. Do we have enough members to even vote on it now?
No. I don't think so with Casey gone.
But if we don't have enough members to vote on anything, I'll make a motion we adjourn.
I have a question before we adjourn.
There's 8 of y'all
I have
here.
a question too.
All right, there's 8 of you here.
Or don't get a second, and then you can ask a question. That's parliamentary procedure.
So have you made the motion?
I've made the motion. If no one, if it dies, and they've got questions.
Do I have a second?
Wait a minute, what is the motion?
We adjourn.
To reappoint the Civil Service Board.
No, his motion's to adjourn.
I make a motion to go home. We don't have enough people to vote. Nobody.
No, there's 8 of us.
We have 8.
We still have 8.
We have 8. Sure.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 with Gayla. Yeah, we've got 8.
Okay.
The motion is to adjourn.
We can rescind that.
Are you rescinding the motion to adjourn? I'm.
Yes, if we have enough people.
Yeah, we do. So now then, I don't know that we're really getting anywhere with this particular argument we're having, but between like what I think are the differences of the opinion on that. Mayor, what you had a comment just a second ago on this issue. Go ahead.
I just have a couple of questions before we adjourn. Y'all can do a first and a second if that's what you want to do, but at some point I've got some questions on this.
Okay.
Can I make a motion, Clay, that we move this to next month? Everybody gets their ducks in a row, and then, we'll talk about it in our next CLB meeting as far as this appointment.
All right. So you're making that motion. Do I have a second? All right. We have a second from Forrest just to table this till next month. Any other discussion? Mayor, does that mean you have questions now or comments?
I do, because if it's just
go ahead.
brought up next month, it's some more things that I need to know for clarity. So when I got the minutes from Public Safety, when y'all discussed it, it was brought up that their terms had been reappointed. Some of them have, maybe some of them haven't. Forrest, we'll check that. Melissa can check on that. But we have multiple boards that have people who've been reappointed for years. They're still serving on these boards. For example, I can think of the library board, the planning commission. So is this something that, as you all are thinking, is this something that you all are going to want to see from all boards, or is it just this specific board? My next question, at that same public safety meeting, you all said that you all were going to take applications for it. I've had people call wanting to do applications, but then I've heard from several of you that you have already decided to appoint Bob Shadaro, that's there now, and Jason Oury, which is fine. But hang on, don't interrupt me, please. Please don't interrupt me just yet. Thank you. to appoint, or y'all are planning on, some of y'all have discussed appointing those two. Great guys, that's fine, but I need to know if you all are appointing or doing the applications. And then I guess my last thing is, we're talking through this, this board, I pulled the minutes, it's met at least over 10 times every year. So if that's one of the reasons that you're saying that's stagnant, it's meeting more. We've got subcommittees that haven't met one time. So do we need to look at doing the same thing for those subcommittees? And I guess one of my other concerns, as y'all are thinking through it, Oury, great guy, Bob's a great guy. If this came up basically because someone didn't get promoted. I mean, we've not had a problem in 10 years. Somebody didn't get promoted. Now we got a problem. These guys are great guys. If they follow the same procedure, that same outcome will happen again, possibly. So is this a board that's going to be replaced every time? Because this board's not supposed to be political. So if we're going to replace people every time that happens, where's it going to end? So those are all things. You don't have to answer it now. Feel free to comment. I know some of you probably may want to, but those are some questions that if y'all would consider thinking about and maybe discussing next month when we meet again. Thank you.
I brought this up. It wasn't because somebody didn't get promoted. Someone that didn't get promoted brought it to my attention. Yes. The person who got promoted is a dear friend of mine, and I think they made a good decision. Either one of them, I could care less. It's not my department. The only thing that was brought to my attention is the duration of the members that's been on there. The fact that they've not, because I do not remember, I may be wrong. You know, we do some reappointments. For 2 years, I've sat on this body and we've never reappointed somebody to that board, to the best of my knowledge. If I'm wrong, if somebody can show me the minutes where we have, again, I don't care. I just want it to be done by the way the law says to do it and by the way the charter says we do it. That's my only issue, period. I don't care who goes on there. It doesn't affect me in the least. I'm not siding with anybody. Bob Sherardo asked me if he could introduce himself and to be considered for it. That decision is up to the board. Jason Oury's name was brought up. Yet again, great guy, think he'd be great, but it's up to the board. And I agree with the mayor. There needs to be a process where people submit their name, qualifications, and then we vote on it as a group, not appoint someone behind closed doors. That's not going to happen. I believe in by the letter of the law, period.
David, go ahead.
Real quick, one of the board members actually called me, and he stated for the last 10 years that they have offered to step off the board, but there's been nobody want the position. So they just, I guess, reappointed, or maybe they didn't go through the process, but they just left whoever on the board. So that's what this gentleman told me that was on the board. So before we throw them all under the bus, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if they necessarily did anything wrong. They just had no interest.
You know, I'd like to say too, one of the board members, Freddie James, he's a dear friend of mine. I love him dearly. Even though he used to wire me out in high school, he paddled me every chance he got, but I love him to death. And I would, you know, it's nothing personal to any person on that board. They've done a great service to this county, and they need to be commended for it. But we need to revisit this and look and make sure we're doing it by the letter of the law, by the intent. I can see the attorney's argument in a way, but the fact remains Clay, you've been on here for a long time. Have you ever voted to appoint someone to this board, or is it just, it's just something that we ignored for years and just let it go on?
It's been reappointments, and I don't know how frequently it's taken place, because I know we have voted to reappoint them. But now, don't ask me when that has been, because now I don't have any. I'd have to look back on those minutes.
Yeah, I mean, if we have, fine, move on. I don't care. I just want it to be done.
I have a comment.
Okay, And I will say, I think the one comment that I have here before Gayla makes hers that I just want to sort of, and it's to echo what Forrest is saying, but also, I mean, and so we can kind of get moving on with this. I think one of the unfortunate parts that's happened with this is I feel like, because I mean, I see some of them are here, and I know that I feel like if you are a member of that particular board, and as I look back at, and I was part of it, and I was definitely in agreement to move forward with what Forrest was talking about with the information that he had given me. I would feel if I'd been on that board, I would have felt a little bit as if I were being attacked. And I do think and I think as Forrest said here, that was not our intention.
No,
I mean,
no.
I definitely would like, I mean, I want that to be for the record, however we want to put that. Our intention was in no way, shape, or form to be, to attack those particular people or their character, any kind of job that they were necessarily doing. So I definitely, but I know the optics that created, and I know me saying that was not the intention. If I were sitting in that situation, it'd be hard to convince me otherwise. So, I mean, I get where they're going to come from, but I think we need to look at this very delicately, and I think we need to make sure with both that information that you have for us, as well as what Melissa has had, we've got to figure out exactly what we are able to do. Gayla, go ahead and make your
Okay,
comment.
my question is this, and I have made this comment before, and I've made it 2 or 3 times at different CLB meetings when we've appointed people to a board, and it be the same person. We need a process in our county if you want to serve on a board that you could put your name in. We need to put people on and off boards the way it's meant to be, just like the beer board, the planning commission, civil service, library board, rec board, whatever board it is. If it is written into their bylaws or their charter that they come off or whatever, we need to do that. And if that's not getting done, that's on us as a CLB not to keep up with that. Now, my thing is, yes, to Mayor Ottinger, we do need to look at every board. I fully believe that a new set of eyes can help. Somebody might get on a board and look at something, that the people that had been on there for a long time never thought of. So we need to keep up with that. I don't know how we do that in the county. I don't know whose responsibility that is. Because most of the time, if you're on a board, you're just going to sit on that board and do your thing and go on. Just like, we have a rec board. We've got an appointment coming up on that one. And that'll be, I think, maybe next month or something. I'm not real sure. But what I'm saying is, yes, every board we have in this county, we need to look at. Now, if we have, say, for instance, I'm just using this for an example. If the library board comes up, if it's written into their charter and they have to go off or whatever, if nobody puts their name in the pot and the person wants to serve another 5 years or 2, 3 years or whatever, fine. That's perfectly fine. But we need to make a good faith effort of trying to keep up with these boards and how much time, when people come off and trying to get new people on. So that's just and I've made this comment before, so I'm not changing my mind about any of that. I just think that we really need to put more effort into keeping up with this.
All right, very good. Any other comments on that? Seeing none, let's go on. I don't think I've missed anything else, because the other 2 were a matter of amended budget reports and an agreement with Sharp Business Systems, which we did.
Hey, Clay.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Didn't we do motion and second to table it?
You're right. I apologize.
Yeah.
We had a motion and a second. All right, thanks. Yeah.
I got, let's have
a roll call vote. I think that's it, though. Let's have a roll call vote.
Gary Ford, Calvin Ball. Calvin Ball.
Yes.
He's asleep.
Yes. He said yes.
Blazer.
Yes.
Yes.
Clay Blazer.
Yes.
Norman Smith. Terry Dawson.
Yes.
Jonathan Law. Dan Bright.
Yes.
Casey Gillum. Horace Clevenger.
Yes.
David Verdell.
Yes.
Joshua Tay. Gary Carver.
Yes.
Next
Clay,
on
I
the
have a
agenda.
I have a real quick question. I just need some clarification on the hotel motel private act. Are we putting that off and really it'll be next year before that happens? Is that correct?
Well, now here's what I would almost say. I think when you look at it from a practical standpoint, if we were to pass it next month, and again, that's all let's just say that I'm not saying that it's going to happen, but if it were to come up again, we discussed it, we worked out the merits and we passed it next month. What you need to realize is that realistically, it's not going to go on the General Assembly calendar to be voted on this year because we will miss that date. So it will not be able to be put on the calendar until next year. And then you figure even if it passes, that means that it will be July 1 of 2022 before we would ever obtain any revenue from that. So even if we moved it out next month. Now we don't need to, if this is something that we want to undertake, we don't want to put it off and say, well, we'll just wait and pick it up some other, later on. I mean, I would definitely recommend, then we know that that's a direction that we want to head or we don't want to head, but we're not going to see any revenue from it for at least that long. Does that make sense?
I just wanted to clarify that. Okay, thank you.
That's a good question. Are there?
We've been talking about this for over a year and a half, and we still haven't had any action on it. We're still right where we at a year and a half. I put a lot of work into this, and I do this on my own free time. I put in a lot of effort. I do a lot of research. I make phone calls. We've got 8 people right now in our meeting. Granted, Casey's phone conked out on him. I understand that, but we're here to do a job. And one night a month, and this is by Zoom. And we can't get more than 8 people here. I understand that people run into problems and stuff happens, but we've got to move forward as a county. This whole board has got like ADHD. I swear to God, it takes 2 years to put a roof on. We can't get a hotel motel tax looked at. It takes 2 years for that. I'm a little frustrated in how this board is moving. I don't see us making any headway on anything. And it's very frustrating when you put a lot of effort into it and you look around and it's like no one gives a shit. Pardon my language. But I'll leave it.
All right, Terry, I'm sorry, David, go ahead. I see your hand waving.
We need to revisit something. Now, we apologize. We just missed it with all the stuff going on tonight. Go ahead, Terry.
This is concerning the solid waste board, and we didn't say nothing because it's on it. Since David's on it, I'm gonna let him start kind of bring the CLB up to where we're at and what we need moving forward to let you all know that we're working on something. Go ahead, David.
If you read my notes. Okay, go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead. I can make these notes.
I can't read my right. Anyway, we're gonna have to get with the budget committee and come up with some funding for opening our landfill and closing it. There was a question about McGill and Associates, if we could take money out of them for professional services, or if that had to be put up for bids, we gotta know kind of what to bring to the budget committee. And we're working on, with waste management, we want to see every precinct, I'll say it that way, get a compactor. So me and David's kind of working here together, and it's your last minute trying to think something. But I think that the county attorney or Heather one was going to check on and see if this had to be bidded out on professional services. We've got to have somebody to come up with a figure that can have open and close it, the wiring and the concrete heads for the compactors. We have to have figures on that to present to the budget committee, and we don't want this to drag on for the next few months. So Dave and I have been sitting here talking. We want you to know that this is being worked on, and Heather's going to be at the solid waste board in March, helping them, everybody create a budget.
I believe we've got an opening amount. If they give that later to me, how much it's going to take to, not to open, but to close. But to open the new park, we don't have any figures on that at all. And this is time sensitive. We got to get on this and get it done according to TDEC. That's my understanding. And when you do all this, you can't just open one or close one and not open the other, because you got to do something with the stuff we still have, and some of that stuff still got to be moved. And I, for one, do not want to revisit trailing it over to Morristown. So we need to get both things done kind of at the same time, if that makes sense. And then you've got equipment that's being run by rubber bands and sticky notes, stuff like that. We may have to revisit that too at some point. But there's a lot here we need to sit down, I guess, with the budget committee and figure out what we need to get done to get this thing open and operating.
All right, my guess would be on that, based on what y'all were saying with the budget committee, they meet Monday, correct, Heather?
Yes. Yes, we meet Monday.
So can you put that on the Zoom?
I sure can.
And send that out as a link, and then they can address those issues. Does that sound good to you, David?
We can bring that up in that meeting because we're not on the agenda. We just brought this up.
I can add you to the agenda.
Yeah, Heather's saying she'll add you to the agenda.
When I'm getting arrested or anything, I'm good.
No, you're good. You're good. All right. Anything else?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, guys.
And I appreciate the people tonight. We had some good debate tonight. I know it went long, but we do get some things done after we debate stuff, and I do appreciate that. Thank you.
All right. With that being said, we have miscellaneous next. If there is nothing in the miscellaneous section, then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned.
All right, a motion from Terry and David. I saw their two hands go up. So those in favor?
It's recognized.
All right.
Yeehaw.
Hey guys, we beat our record by a minute tonight.
Oh, yay.
Oh gosh.
That's not a record I want to beat, dear.
Me neither. No,
Right.
I didn't like
Right.
it. Didn't like it
guys.
a bit.
Thank you guys very much. And I will, hopefully we did get some of the things done. Lydia, if you've got any other questions, for me, as far as anything, I think we kept up. So I think you've got everything, and it's recorded. Heather will have that out. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. I missed you guys. Maybe next month we'll be in person. So I will see you guys. Yeah.
Goodbye, everybody.
Thank y'all.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
I love you guys too. Lord.
Sorry.